Every day, I am an agent of hope. Every day, I am an agent of new faith. A new faith in yourself, a new faith in life, a new faith in those good values and good things of life. Every day, I sit with people as we try to find different ways to respond to life's destructiveness and damage, and in that process, find a better way to live. In this address today, I will speak of two people. I know a lot about them. And then I shall speak about ways that they have found and that we might find in repairing our damaged parts. So in the second part of the address, I shall speak of those several ways that are so vital. We've all been hurt in life's experiences. Some of those hurts date back to childhood. Some happen each day, continuously. And we need to find ways to repair our damaged parts and places. Because if we don't, we lose touch with what our life could be. And we remain damaged and diminished. If we don't find some way to repair our damaged parts, our past hurts continue to flood into other areas of our life. We then begin to leave negative memories behind us. Unhealed, unhelped, our hurts affect our relationships, affect our common enjoyments, affect our mental health. When our damaged parts are not healed, are not dealt with, we might take note of those words of the Russian poet Joseph Brodsky, who said, "The perishable devour the perishable in broad daylight." So to the two people. First, a young, near middle-aged woman married with 3 children. In recent times, she and her whole family have suffered one of life's most devastating traumas. Indeed, so horrifying that it is almost unbelievable, indescribable, until I stop and recognize this is a horrific reality. It is understandable that some would say there are these experiences that you never get over. But she has come to me saying, help us get over this. Help us so that we don't live the rest of our lives as damaged people. Help us so that we get over it and our children will get over it. So over several weeks, she has been finding a way. And at the end of our meeting just this last week, we sat for a while in silence. And then as she stood up to leave, she said, "Well, what does not kill us makes us stronger." And they are the words of Friedrich Nietzsche, reflected in the title of this book, "What Does Not Kill Us Makes Us Stronger." This book is devoted to helping people grow again after the damage of severe traumas. The second person I can name, because her story has been widely publicized, Noreen Johnson, was well known in the American psychological world, indeed in the international world. She has had many acclaimed achievements, not least that in 2001, she became the president of the American Psychological Association. And she took as her presidential theme, "Psychology Builds a Healthy World." And throughout the annual conference, there were these programs: healthy families, healthy communities, healthy workplaces. Her initiatives had the goal: promoting physical, social, and spiritual health. But health soon deserted her, and after fighting some years a valiant battle with cancer, she succumbed to it. The obituary to her said this: "She handled her final illness with determination and dignity." The weekend before her death, she asked a group of her close friends to visit with her. And on these last days of her life, she spoke with each one individually and then together. And her friend, Dr. Dorothy Cantor, wrote this. She said she found the strength to communicate that she knew what was important to each one of us. And yet she paused also to relive the joyous moments with all of us. She joked, she chided, she cheered us. She gave each one of us the gift of her love. And we all miss her terribly. Suffering the ultimate damage being done to her body, she passed on to her friends her love of life and her gratitude for it. So as we gather here in St. Michael's, we can identify somewhat with these two women. One searching for ways to live after a devastating event, and the other showing determination and dignity in coping with the changing end-of-life realities. And so all of us, and to all of us, I shall speak for a short time about our damaged parts and places, that we might find ways to repair our lives. But before I go on to that part, I want to set between the first part and the second part a fulcrum in the form of the 23rd Psalm. Written hundreds of years before the birth of Christ, it contains themes that fit indeed with contemporary psychoanalysis. The psalm speaks of that vital sense of personal identity, who we are. It speaks of a strong presence within us and around us. It speaks of a faith-charged response to the realities of human existence. It speaks of an awareness of the givens, the resources that we've been given to lift us beyond our limitations. It speaks of our participation in a wider world view where compassion and goodness play a central part. And it speaks of that psalm speaks of being held in a zone of safety as we reach into and travel into the uncertainties of the future. Because we all know that life is continually overshadowed by threats to life, the destructive and damaging events. Sometimes we are the active agents in those events. Sometimes the damage and destructiveness is thrust upon us. Sometimes it is after the event that we realize how much we've been hurt, how much we've been damaged, and how troubled we've become. as life carries this deprivation, this desquamation, this detruncation. So we have the event, and we have the hurt which follows it. And we have the emotional loading on top. And from them we get the destabilization that takes place. And in the aftermath, the difficulty in coping. And the disturbance to all that could have been. How do we get over it? How do we diminish the hurt? How do we bring some effective management to a distressing memory? How do we get on with life afterwards? How can we ever speak again those words, "My cup runneth over"? So let us be quite direct about the ways we might manage these difficulties and traumas of life. First of all, we need to intercept the compulsive repetition of going back over and over the event. Of course, laying the event out in itself is important, but to go back over and over and over again does not bring the necessary repair. Of course, it is difficult to intercept that repetitive compulsion. Difficult because we feel we must do it. Perhaps the person has died and we think we have to honor them by going back over it again and again. Or perhaps the event is so bad, whatever the event was, is so bad that we feel an entitlement to go back and repeat it and tell others and keep on doing it. There are difficulties, you see, of intercepting it, but intercept it we must. We need to drain off the negative energy that we've invested in that event and in that compulsion. And then to direct that energy to another cause, to another experience, to another object, to another place. This means changing the focus that has been so much on that past event. Change that focus so that now we move it to focus on what is good in the present and what is good in the promise of the future. That takes doing, but that's the process. We need to find ways to release ourselves from that past event and from our own continual mismanagement of it, that repetitive compulsion that I speak of. Now, some people, of course, we know, speak about forgiveness. The church has spoken about forgiveness for generations, and in doing so have shown how ineffective it can be. Because the word has become so tangled up with religious rigmarole through the ages that it has lost its effective interiority. We can talk about it, but we are not forgiven, or nor are we forgiving. We go on blaming others. We go on blaming ourselves. We go on blaming circumstances. We blame God. We blame life. Blame gets attached to many things. But we really need to study the processes of that therapeutic release. Releasing the other. Releasing ourselves. Releasing the blocked energy of life. So what do we need for that to happen? We need the energy of a new faith. The old faith is jammed up in the dysfunction of beliefs and dogma. The new faith is about the flow of life, the flow of new energy into life, the flow of hope for life in the future. It is the flow of life that says, go on and tell John, Tell the world what you hear and see. The impossible becomes possible. The blind recover their sight. Or let these words be metaphorical, of course, if you wish. Don't take them so literally, but listen to them speaking about the release. The blind recover their sight. The lame begin to walk. The deaf hear. Those lost in their deadness discover new life is waiting for them. The damaged places are repaired. The blocked pathways are opened up. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. Open the door for new life to flow in. We go forward with the energy of faith, not back into the futility of aggravation, re-aggravating old memories, re-energizing old hurts, revisiting empty graves. What were those words spoken on the resurrection morning? Take them metaphorically too, but take them literally also if you wish. They came and said, He's not here. He's not here. He's gone from here. He's gone on. Now you must go on. So evade re-aggravation, those negative revisitations. And this needs a great deal of containment of our unhelpful emotions, because they can so easily break out of all containment and go in so many destructive directions. Containment of the emotions, containment of our behavior. Containment means reaching a new level of control in your life. And this we know. Our mental and emotional health and the maturity of our personality are revealed in the degree to which we can bring that containment to effectiveness. If you read into the psalm, you will see this steadiness and stability is the culminating value of a faith that works. So you can talk about faith, you can talk about the dogmas, you can talk about the beliefs till the cows come home and long afterwards. But unless you've got the energy of that faith, the faith that works, then all the talk is talk. It speaks, you see, to our inner self, that our inner self will be strengthened and enlarged to be part of a wider motivation and inspiration. Dr. Richard Ryan of Rochester University said this. He said the human spirit can be diminished and crushed, and individuals will sometimes reject growth and self-responsibility. Regardless of the social strata or social origin, examples of both children and adults who are apathetic and alienated are abundant. We hear of millions, he said, who for hours a day sit passively in front of television sets, stare blankly from the back of classrooms, wait listlessly for the weekend to be free of their weekday jobs. People, even those who are religiously involved or casually interested in religion, can become part of that diminished personality. For those who are open to it, the symbols and themes of the Scriptures remind us of the important place of an enlarged spirit in spite of the damage and the difficulties of so many of our human experiences. For those who are able to step beyond or to leapfrog over their damaged parts and places, they may find room to celebrate the goodness that continues to flow around us and in us and beyond us. Indeed, as the staff was carried forward this morning, we were doing just that. We said today we're celebrating. We're celebrating those things, the goodness and the talents that have come to us. In my book on the traumas of life and their treatment, Volume 1, I quote the words of Ernest Hemingway in the very first page. He said that the world breaks everyone, and afterward, many are strong at the broken places. I want to be an agent whereby I help people to be strong at those broken places. Because when that occurs, we can take a little time. We can sit quietly for a while and celebrate. Yes, I know it is extremely difficult to find a way to celebrate when life has left us deeply damaged, perhaps in many places, because we know that damage can hit one place and then spreads out to other places and other parts. It can be difficult to talk about celebrating, but life does keep flowing. It flows towards us, it flows around us, it flows beyond us, and it challenges us. It challenges us, enlarge or shrink. Find spasms of joy or get entangled in the chains of resentment and anger. Love life or stay in the shadows. That's the challenge. Be one who focuses forwards or keep churning over the exhausted minds of the past. The psalm said, "Goodness and kindness will follow me all the days of my life." We might like to add to that and say, goodness and kindness will also go ahead of us and give light to that new faith by which we'll live our life. Would you please stand? And would you pause for the blessing? May the God you see in all the colours of creation arouse in you a sense of awe and wonder. May the God who is a sacred presence be real to you. May the God who is a source of inspiration and courage keep calling you forward. May your God go with you and bless you today and always.